Okay, good afternoon. I'm just going to probably post this on Facebook because it'll reach the area in which I am, and then I may put it on my alternate channel or my other channel, Ag Talk in the Raw. That is on YouTube. If you haven't noticed, I do YouTube videos. My main channel is One Lonely Farmer. That's been around for 16 years. Excuse me, I have had the Ag Talk and Raw for several years. I don't post there much anymore because it takes time to do it, and I just don't seem to have the time. And maybe that's why this letter that I'm about to read you is kind of important. And I think it'll bring awareness to non-farmers, and it'll actually maybe help some farmers that are living through these hard times as farmers. We're in probably the worst conditions that we've been in since like Jimmy Carter was in office. Jimmy Carter set us down a path of agricultural disasters from his lovely, wonderful administration that really, I don't know that he was supposed to have been a farmer. You know, that was the crazy thing. A farmer would vote for a farmer if they thought that it would help them. And I think that's how Jimmy Carter got elected. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. We are just coming out of another disastrous presidency. Whether you like it or not, it was a disastrous presidency. And the information, even before his presidency is over, is coming out how it was known that he was mentally incapacitated. If you are dumb enough to not being able to notice that just the way the man walked and carried himself was that of a mentally diminished person, not sure of themselves, not sure of their pace and their steps, and the stumbling and stammering up, and the actual, what they call a gaffe, but the verbal, outbursts and things like that is of a person that is in severe mental decline. So anyways, I'm not going to talk about politics too much. I'm just going to talk about a letter. So there was a letter, and it was written by a fella. I don't think I want to use his name, but I'm going to. It's Ryan Kennedy. I have no idea where he is from. This was forwarded to me by a fellow by the name of John Stevens. John Stevens' Maple Grove Farm is his YouTube channel. He is in the regenerative ag program. He also does mechanic work. I don't do the mechanic work for others, but I do mechanic work, and I like John's work. I also do the regen ag thing. I'm newer at it than he is, and I've learned a lot from him and others that have been doing it longer than me, and I'm seeing the benefits much faster than what he did and the others did, because I have gleaned the information that I need to glean from them and have implemented it instead of making all the mistakes that they made. But anyways, this letter is a letter that really explains where American farmers are at right now. And I'm not talking just one, I'm talking the whole lot of us. And if you're a non-farmer and you think that we're all a bunch of millionaires that are sitting on piles of cash, that isn't true. It's never been true. There are some very wealthy farmers, but they have done something outside of the farm, or they've sold off large parcels of land that their families had invested in 100 years or so ago. And I shouldn't talk too loud because my great-grandparents invested in the land that we farm, but it was not handed down. It got sold to my grandparents and so on and so forth. So it is what it is, and here it goes. So the current condition in the farming industry right now is pretty bleak. We've just come out, like I said, we've come out of a 4-year disaster of an administration that absolutely hated farmers. We didn't vote for the guy. I'm sorry, we didn't. We had a better shake under Donald John Trump than we ever would have under the Biden administration. And I'm hoping and praying, literally praying, that when we head into the next Trump administration, they have a better Secretary of Agriculture than Sonny Perdue. Sonny Perdue really didn't do anything for us, and he was supposedly a farmer. He's not. He wasn't. I don't know who the new Secretary of Agriculture is, but I can tell you this. This spring, before I planted anything, I was putting down lime and buying seed and getting ready for this great disaster that we just went through, like very huge drought. I mean, we just came off of a 47-day zero rain in this area at a key point in the growing season, and before that, there was 4.5 weeks of zero rain, which impacted the corn and the soybeans to the point where basically it was half of what it should have been. By the time I was done combining the corn and the soybeans, it was literally half of what it should have been. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read this letter. So here we go. We've had lots of questions in the past few days, so here it goes. After a lot of heartfelt deliberations and soul searching, we decided as a family to hang up our row crop farming hats. Basically, they're going to quit farming. They're going to quit farming row crops: corn, soybeans, wheat, barley, rye, hay, that stuff. Not hay, but, anything milo, anything that can be grown as a row crop. We will continue to have hay, cattle, and run the farm market as usual. So they do have another stream of income other than that. But an explanation for those that are interested. And this is where non-farmers need to really pay attention. And farmers that are listening to this are actually going to shake their head, yeah, that's the truth. That is what we are going through. If you are not going through this, God bless you. I know you've probably done something different than everybody else that I know has ever done. So it is an absolute shame that our system as a country is the way that it is. Farmers are the only people in the world that have absolutely no say in what they are paid for what they produce. Corn, soybeans, and many other commodities are priced the same or lower than they were in the 70s and 80s. When tractors were $100 per horsepower, diesel was 50 cents per gallon, labor was abundant. Now tractors are closer to $1,000 a horsepower, farm fuel is hovering around $2.70, and you literally cannot pay people enough to entice them to work. That I just read is 100% true. Commodity prices are set by the stock market and can be traded by people that have never set foot on a farm. That means that the corn that is in my bins that I own, in the bin that I paid for and that I am paying to keep aerated and conditioned, can be traded by someone on Wall Street in a suit and tie. They have no risk, no knowledge, and could not grow a bushel of corn if their life depended on it. Another true, that's very true, beyond true. And they are profiting, in some cases, more than I am on my product. Not only do we not see our prices for what, not only do we not set our prices for what we produce, we buy all of our inputs: fertilizer, seed, chemicals, parts, tractors, fuel, filters, etc., tires, at full retail price. Just to emphasize that, we do not get a break on any of this stuff. We don't go down to the magic government store and get free stuff like people think that we do. We are expected to pay the freight both ways. Think about all the people that farmers support: families that own land and allow us to rent it, tractor dealerships, salespeople, repairmen, truck drivers, tire shops, welders, car dealerships, tool shops, machine shops, the list goes on and on. Then to top it all off, we are at the mercy of the weather. Even with irrigation, we are only a week of hot weather away from a failed corn crop. I don't have irrigation. Nobody in this area does have irrigation for corn, field corn. I've seen it for sweet corn and things like that. But for us here, there's no irrigation. I don't think the aquifers would allow us to pump that much water out of the ground. It costs upwards of $500 for the materials to grow 1 acre of corn, not including the equipment. So to do so, that's a fact. The equipment is never added into the input cost to grow an acre of corn. So think about this. $500 an acre. That means that to grow 1,000 acres of corn, you have to borrow at least $500,000 at 8 or 9% interest. The interest alone is equivalent to most people's yearly salary. Just the interest. And that's true, believe me, because I do this, and it's insane. Most people, I think it's like the majority of people, the average income in America is like what, $38,000 a year? My interest is higher than that per year just to borrow that money. I don't say all of this for sympathy or recognition. I just want people to be aware of what a toll all this takes on a farmer's mental health. True. Imagine being responsible for paying back hundreds of thousands of dollars when you don't know how much corn you will have to sell or what you're going to be paid for what you do produce. I'm not wanting to start debates in the comment sections, and I'm not wanting to debate anyone about any of the facts presented here, and they are facts. This is simply for the knowledge of my non-farming friends. Maybe one day we will be able to start farming again because it really is a disease. It's not a disease. I disagree with that. I think farming is a passion, and either you have it or you don't. People that walk away from farms never felt the feeling it is to start something and complete it. I wouldn't say it's a disease. It is a passion, though, and it is ingrained in our bones. It's not in our blood. It goes deeper than that. When you're a farmer and you do this job, it's not about the money, obviously, because you just listened to what I said. It's about your freedom. It's about your skills. It's about your family. It's about your life. It's about all those things. Okay, once it's in your blood, you can't shake it. It literally hurts to think that we cannot be planting the land that my great-granddad cleared with a mule and a chain. But for financial safety of my family, we have made what we feel is the best decision for us. If you read this far, thank you. Please support your local farms in any way possible. Now, on that note, and it is a note, I will say this. When you go to the grocery store and you buy, say, a piece of meat, say you buy 4 pieces of meat, 4 steaks, right? Those 4 steaks that are in the same case, stacked on top of one another, could literally be from 4 different cows, 4 different animals. If you go to the produce section and you grab some string beans and put them in a bag, weigh them, you don't know that those string beans didn't come from different countries, for one, separate countries into the same pot. And you definitely don't know if they came from the same farm. They wouldn't be. It's universal. All this food gets mixed together. When you buy hamburger at the grocery store, you bring it home. You ever wonder why the blood just runs out of this stuff? Like, you might think that thing had an artery, and as it thawed out, you stabbed it in the artery and the blood runs. Well, there's a reason for that. In order to yield more meat from what they have purchased, they add 2 ingredients. One is blood, coagulated blood, and the other is ice. So when they're grinding this box meat, which comes from, and you don't know how many cows are actually in that. And if you buy that meat that's pre-ground, they regrind it. And that can be from 1,000 different animals all in that one vat, believe it or not. So when this guy says, please support your local farms in any way possible, that means instead of going down to, say, ShopRite, Kroger, Piggly Wiggly, or any of these other stores, and that goes for everything, pigs, pork, and chicken, poultry as well. Unless you're buying a whole chicken, that chicken could come from different states, and the one next to it could come from Indiana. The next one past that could come from South or North Carolina or anything else like that. Just for contrast here. But when you do buy from local, like I'm here. We've got Laubers. Laubers has a small farm market there. William, knock it off. You can go over to Phelps Farms down in Holland Township. They have a very nice setup down there. You can go to Bobolink Farm. That's local. You can go to Schaefer's over here in Flemington. There are many, many more that I haven't mentioned. You could go down to my friend at Sugar Maple Dairy. You can get from them down there in Surgeonsville. That's Heidi and Rick Denby. Go down and buy something from them. Is it going to cost you more? It absolutely is, but you know where it came from. You know that they raised it. You know that they didn't have this stuff come in from other countries, and meat does come into this country from other countries. It does, believe it or not, as crazy as that sounds. Smithfield Foods is owned by China. Smithfield, that used to be out here in Pennsylvania, that's owned by China. So awareness of where your food is coming from, where it came from, what chemicals were used on it, because, again, we're regulated here in the United States that we can only use certain types of insecticides. But if you just cross the border, they could be using stuff that's been banned here for 30 or 40 years because it is a carcinogenic, a neurotoxin, or any of the above and beyond. Same thing with the beef and poultry and pork. That stuff can be brought in from countries where you don't know what they're feeding those animals. You don't know if there was antibiotics in it. You don't know if there were steroids that they put in, growth steroids. They put hormones, growth steroid hormones, whatever, into these animals in other countries. It's banned here. You're not allowed to do that. So you just don't know. But if you buy local, yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more. But know that that money is going to that family. And that money is going, and the food that you're getting is of a higher standard and a higher quality than what you would be getting. And I'm not knocking the grocery stores. I mean, everybody's got to make a living. And maybe you can't afford to go down to the farmer's market. But just know that the difference between what the grocery store is producing or selling and the farm market that is being produced and sold from that farm, the difference is huge. It's beyond huge. You have no idea the difference. Just my wife, she was raised in the Philippines. She came to the United States. I met her here. We got married. She never had any beef that was raised on a farm, our farm, or a farm, local farm. She always went to ShopRite. The Philippines is very different. They're kind of like what it would be if you went to a local farm here. They don't have big grocery stores. They have markets. You go down and it's fresh. It's hanging. It was alive 4 hours before. So you're not going to get anything fresher than that. But here in the United States, it's the local grocery store. When we had our animals and had them killed, and we're still eating our own animals, and I need to get more, she's like, why is this so much different? Why doesn't the blood run out of this? I said, because we don't have it added. Well, what do you mean added? Well, they add that to yield more. So if you take 50 pounds of beef that you're going to grind, or ground beef, and you take 20 pounds of blood and water, ice chips, and you grind that together, and you freeze it, you have increased the weight of it. Shut that door. Shut that door.
Sorry, Dad.
No, it's okay. You just got to learn what to do. And shut the door when you open it. Thank you.
Probably.
What a big boy I
I
am.
got a new cup, Dad.
What does that say?
It says William on it. So,
Oh, I see.
So in case it's mine.
It's yours. That's cool. So anyways, that's the difference. That's what you're buying. So and it's just like anything else. You buy a chicken. You buy a chicken from ShopRite or Walmart or Costco or whatever. The pre-cooked ones, you ever wonder why there's always they don't taste the same as one that you buy from out of the freezer section, or not the freezer, the fresh one, or even the freezer one. You ever wonder why it just doesn't taste the same? Because they pump them full of saline. They pump that full of saline. Oh, they're so juicy and they taste great. They're not. That ain't the natural juice from that bird. That is water and salt. That's what that is. So if you buy a fresh chicken from any of the aforementioned places that I talked about, you're going to get a chicken that is better. It's just better. It's a denser meat. It's more firm. It's not tender. It's not going to be tender because it hasn't had 4,000 needles jammed into it and pumped full of water. And they do the same thing with your steaks and whatever else you're buying, because water is cheap. And people don't realize this. You know, when you thaw out a rump roast and the water runs across your counter, if you take chicken, it's in a little styrofoam tray, and the styrofoam tray has an absorption pad in it. Do me a favor, if you're local and you can get Bell and Evans chicken, none of that happens with Bell and Evans. Bell and Evans is the best chicken. I drive all the way to Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania to buy chicken in bulk, because I can't afford to buy it from Heidi or my sister. King Spring Farms is my sister. She has chickens. They process right there on the farm. It's great. But she's too rich for my blood. I could raise them myself. I just haven't gotten around to it. But it's good chicken, and if you are buying that, you know that. You know that it tastes very different than, say, the store-bought brands. But anyways, with that being said, I guess I can just post this someplace and everybody that watches it can be like, oh, okay, cool. Or, holy shit, I didn't really realize that farmers were taken advantage of this way. You know, and it's true. I feel that I've been taken advantage of. This spring, the Secretary of Agriculture stood up. It was on RFD TV, got in front of a microphone, and he told us farmers, you're going to grow the corn, you're going to grow the beans and the wheat and all the other commodities, and you're going to do it at a loss this year. That's what he told us. I didn't believe it when I heard it. I didn't want to believe it when I was experiencing it. But you know what? In my opinion, where there's a will, there's a way. And I really think that they designed it to punish the farmers for not casting the ballots for a certain soon-to-be former president. That's just my opinion. I'm hoping that this new administration that's coming in has a good Secretary of Agriculture, and I'm hoping that they can put some of this stuff into law instead of on a executive order, because an executive order is at maximum 4 years. That's it. 4 short years. 4 years, as we all know, can go by very quickly or drag on forever. This last 4 years has been a slow bleed. This last year has been a bloodletting for farmers. And we still have to pay these bills. So, if you've seen this, you've gotten this far, don't feel sorry for me because I volunteered to do this. But just know that when you're driving down Route 12 or 519 or any of these back roads and you get behind a combine, a mower, a baler, don't cut them off. Don't slam on your brakes and try to force them off the road. Don't give them the finger. Just know that when you get home that night, you're going to have food, whether you cook it or go out to eat it, that came from somebody just like me, just like this Ryan Kennedy, just like John Stevens, just like Ryan Kister, just like anybody in my area. And I'm not going to mention their names, but just think about that. Because the reality is, without people like us, you couldn't feed yourselves. You couldn't feed yourselves. You would want to. You would think that it would be cool to do so. But that would do away with soccer, basketball, wrestling, lacrosse, cross country, football, any sport that your kid has. It would do away with vacations. It would do away with day trips. It would do away with weekends. Because in order to grow and produce the food that you consume in a year, you would have no free time. I get a total of 4 weeks a year. 4 weeks a year that I can slip away from the farm. Now, I'm sure you folks are out there, non-farmers, are thinking, 4 weeks? Well, yeah, 4 weeks. 4 weeks is a lot of time, right? Oh, must be nice to have 4 weeks of vacation. Yeah, would be nice, right? Would be nice. But let's put it into perspective for everybody that's a non-farmer. I work 7 days a week. I go to church on Sundays and Wednesday night, right? But I still work Wednesday and I still work on Sunday. I do. Get back from church, still got half the day. More than half the day. You got probably 10 hours that I've worked on Sundays all summer long, all spring, all summer, and all fall. Right now, it's Sunday, and I didn't go to work today because it's bloody cold out there, and I just felt the need to do other stuff that's inside the house today because I don't feel like freezing my nubbins off. So, yeah, 4 weeks. Total of 4 weeks. So what I did this year, 2024, I will tell you. I took a week off for Llama. Llama is a farm show in England, right? Not even a week. 5 days. Did not go to the Philippines this year. I try to go to the Philippines every year because my wife is from there. She likes to visit her family, and that would be nice. This summer, I took 1 day, and I went to the farm show out here in Pennsylvania, Ag Progress Days. In September, I took 2 days to go visit with my friend who was having an event in England. Yeah, cost me under $1,000. I was able to get a ticket, rent a car, and spend 1 night. One night. Uno. 1 night in England. Okay? I did that for about $1,000. I think it was $1,020, right? I haven't done anything since. So, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Half a day on Sundays, right? So if you take half a day on Sundays, but I work late at night on Sundays. I do. I work late every night. I don't put in an 8-hour day. I don't put in a 6-hour day. My average day is probably 12 to 14. Let me just say 13 for gits and shiggles. You know, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of hours. So not only am I working all those days, I'm putting in more hours than, almost twice. In the summertime, I can put in 18 hours. Some days in the spring, I work 24 hours. You wondering how I'm doing that? Yeah, a lot of coffee. But that's usually in planting season, and, I don't expect anybody else to take up the slack. Then I go home and I sleep for 2 or 3 hours, and then I go again for another 10, 12 hours, But I've pulled several 24-hour days this spring alone. This fall, not so much. We worked until it was all done. We were home by 10 o'clock at night. But, so there you go. Of course, I'm still hauling material like corn, soybeans, and hay. And that job starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Be out the door by 4:30, 5 o'clock if I hit the snooze button. But I like to be on the road by 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's work. And then I work until 8, 9 o'clock at night. In the wintertime, not so much. But I definitely am getting home in the dark. And right now, it's 4:41 and the sun's going down. So usually around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm home, in the wintertime, except for today. So 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks, 4 weeks. 5 weeks, 4 weeks. There's 52 weeks in a year, and 2 days of that, the majority of folks that work in this country have off. So from 52 weeks, that's 104 days, right? Do some math because my brain don't work quite that fast when I've been up. 104 days, 104. And we're going to divide that by 7. 14.85 weeks a year. The people that criticize me for taking a week to England and 3 weeks to the Philippines, maybe a day in there. Let's just say 5 full weeks. 5 full weeks in an entire year that I take off. Okay? Those are just your weekends. We can add, I think the average vacation and sick days is about 21 days. Let's add 3 weeks to that. Plus 3. That's 17 weeks a year that the majority of folks, non-farmers, non-full-time farmers, have off. 17, just say 18 because 17.857, 18 weeks a year, right? That's a lot of time, right? So the next time I hear, oh, must be nice to have that time off. You're right. It is nice to have a total of 5 weeks or 4 weeks off in a year. It is. Isn't that amazing? So next time you're behind a tractor, just know that the guy you're following is probably sleep deprived and just trying to get the job done so that he can have his 4 weeks a year off, not 18 weeks on an average job. Now, I'm not saying that everybody doesn't work Saturdays and Sundays, but you'll have a Monday or a Wednesday off. You'll have a Wednesday or a Friday off. You know, it goes in sections because it's a 40-hour week. Just know that I'm working, God, how much a week? Let's just say, let's do the 13-hour average. 13 hours times that by 365. That's 4,745. 4,745 hours of work, right? That's a lot of work. I think I got that. My wife is bugging the shit out of me, so I can't really do that. God, 4,745 hours. So let's do that. We got a 40-hour week. Only times that by 52. That's 2,080 hours. I'm working 2 years worth of time in the time that the majority of people that work a 40-hour week, more than double. More than double. So, yeah, it's nice to have 4 weeks off. Again, it's by choice. I love what I do. I'm not afraid of work, but God, I never actually did the math on that. I work 2 years, more than 2 years worth of work in one of the average person. And they bitch about me when I take 3 weeks off, consecutive weeks, 3 weeks off to go and have a rest. Anyway, whatever. I guess that's the way that goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles, isn't that what they say? So anyways, have a nice day. I'm going to post this on my regular YouTube channel. I don't think I'm going to put it on Facebook, but YouTube it will be.